I have been doing a series of monologues on election inaccuracies, voter fraud, duplicate counting, what have you. So far we have done 4. The first one was Maricopa County in the state of Arizona. Then we talked about how a Democratic primary election got countermanded by a judge because they found that there was ballot stuffing, and this was in Bridgeport in the state of Connecticut. Then I talked to you about what played out in the city of Minneapolis in Minnesota. And this was, of course, you know who you're talking about, Ilhan Omar and one other person. Now comes information that in Fulton County, Georgia, and this is the state of Georgia, and Georgia, Joe Biden carried it by a very slim margin of 11,800 votes. That there is possibility of a lot of hanky-panky that took place there. I'm going to give you a slide deck, and at the end of this monologue, I'm going to give you a video link thanks to Fox News. This is a Tucker Carlson story. The full video is given in the form of a link, but I'm just using a small portion of that to highlight where all the discrepancies were found. In fact, if you watch that video, you will see what I'm saying in the slide deck, that there is a correlation about somebody redoing or recounting the same ballot more than once. So stay tuned. This is United States, guys. And in India, remember in 2009, there were allegations that the EVMs may have been tampered at the counting time, and the 2 states that people were pointing fingers to were Andhra Pradesh and Maharashtra, where the UPA did a clean sweep. And one small data point that I want you all to keep in mind, in these elections, when they were counting at booth level, a booth level will have about 1,500 votes. What they found was that the party considered to be the number 2, not the number 1 party. Number 1 party was, of course, the UPA. The party considered to be number 2 slot got either 0 votes or 1 vote or 2 votes. Now, it is impossible to get such a small, low number because every booth has a booth agent. Number 2 party would have definitely had 2 booth agents. If those 2 booth agents had, a family of 4 each, there should have been at least 6 to 8 votes. This is impossible. So that's when the Election Commission in India, said, okay, we need to have voter verifiable printer attached terminal called 𝗣𝗽𝗏, which is what we all vote now in India. Well, in the United States, we take pride in saying that this county shall use this method to find out what the voting is. This is the process that we will use to select our president. Turns out it can change from county to county within a state. It's not even uniform within a state. It is so funny that people have now concluded that at least 6 states are always in play where it can be one way, but it can go the other way. Now you understand the title of the book behind me, Who Painted My State Purple? See, if a red state, which is a Republican state, is made to appear to be blue, which means that the votes say that it was carried by a blue candidate, then from red to blue, what color comes? When red changes to blue, you go through purple. Same way, if there is a blue state, for example, Florida or New York or California, and if a Republican candidate were to win that by way of votes, the votes say that even though the people registered Democrat may be 70%, registered Republican may be 30%, then what happens is, again, from blue to red, you need to go through the color purple, which is why the name of my book is Who Painted My State Purple? Now, I wrote this book 2-3 years ago. I think 2021, middle of 2021, I had this book out, and I had highlighted the many ways in a fictional form how an election can be stolen. Now, if you see this particular example that I'm going to relate to you that took place in Fulton County, Georgia, you will see how I had predicted it almost to a digit. Here we go. 145,000 mail-in ballots in dispute Biden won Georgia by a margin of 11,800 votes. Tucker Carlson on duplicated ballots, falsified tally sheets, and mail-in ballot fraud in Fulton County, Georgia. So there are three categories that we are going to be looking at, which ways in which the fraud happened. Now, surveillance footage has been obtained by an organization called 𝗣𝗬𝗲𝗍, and it shows large number of ballots being scanned multiple times. And we are going to give you the proof of this in the video you will watch right after this slide deck. And there you can see somebody explaining how there are two matches or two times the same ballot has been counted. So what happens in this process is, so everybody fills in a ballot, right? And then they send it in. Now all these ballots are scanned and a digitized copy is maintained. Now it turns out that the counting is made not on the ballots being scanned, but after they have got the digitized copies, those digitized copies are in turn run through a software which will essentially scan everything to see which box is blackened, which means that that is the person you voted for, and then find the total. So if you send the same thing twice, right, and if it shows up in two different lumps, like box 1 and box 4, and if you look at the two, they look identical, clearly somebody fed it back in. And this proof also is available in the video that you will see. Okay, so by the end of this video, I'm sure your blood is going to be boiling. I guarantee that. Reinsertion of the same scanned ballot happens multiple times. Not only that, they also falsify in tally sheets. And again, what is tally sheets? I'll just show it to you in one moment here. So in one tally sheet, what happened was the count showed up like this. Okay, that is, you have a batch of ballots that you've scanned, and the count said Biden got 59, Trump got 42. But when somebody is noting it down, which is called tabulation tally, okay, they noted down 100 for Biden and 0 for Trump. So total is almost the same. 59 plus 42 is 101. And so Biden got the whole set of votes. This is nothing but criminal fraud. This happened in Fulton County, Georgia. Another one, there were 7 batches of ballot images, 7, okay, with total of 554 votes for Biden, 140 votes for Trump, and 11 votes for Joe Jorgensen. So if you add those three, you get 554 plus 140 is 694 plus 11, 705. Total is 705. Guess how the tabulation guy wrote it down? Actual is 554, 140, and 11. And they wrote it down as 850, 0, and 0. Unbelievable. Now, see, it's not just that. Now, what happens is sometimes they print these things called as test ballots. These are for like make-believe stuff. Now, even the test ballots were counted. And these are clean, pristine. There is no, see, if you get a ballot, like for example in the mail-in ballot, it comes home, you open the ballot, you put it on the dining table, probably there is some dirt here and there, it sticks out, then you make your selections. Then what do? You fold the ballot so that it will fit into the envelope provided along with the ballot, and then you mail the ballot. Here is a surprise. Many of these things look pristine, clean, nothing. How can you have a ballot that is a straight sheet? If it was mailed, it should have been folded multiple times. Amazing, isn't it? Now, 145,000 ballots are in doubt here. These need to be forensically audited, and I'm hoping that a judge in Georgia is going to rule for manual counting, throw away the scan count. None of these things are right. You need to go back and manually count it. Now, if this happens, this will be a very interesting precedent, because Biden is already in his 3rd year of the presidency, and we still are trying to talk about the 2020 November vote. Now, in fact, he just crossed 3rd year. Well, I should say he is from January of 2021, so he's in his 3rd year of presidency. The most interesting observation is stacks of unusual mail-in ballots, 9 witness affidavits said pristine sheets, no creases, and perfect bubbles that went all for Biden, all of them. This is exactly where the Election Commission in India said, wait a minute, this is not right. Yes, some fraud has happened. They did not overturn the 2009 elections for the country. What they did was they got the 𝗣𝗽𝗲𝗏 implemented. By 2014, a few booths had it. By 2019, everybody had it. Everybody got the 𝗣𝗽𝗏. So you could actually see the vote fall through in that glass window so that you can see, okay, I voted for Kamal, and then you see the lotus sign being ticked. This is India, which is considered to be a developing nation. Shame on us, Americans. What the heck are we doing? Now, here are some affidavits filed shortly after the election attesting to the counterfeit ballots in Fulton County. A GA Democrat says, this is Georgia Democrat, hundreds of these ballots seemed impeccable, no folds or creases. The bubble selections were perfectly made, only blackened, and all for Biden. Another Democrat says, all had a perfect black bubble and were all Biden. I heard Biden over 500 times in a row. Susan Boyles, a 20-year election official, pristine sheets, difference in the texture of paper and a different feel and no markings, and approximately 98% were for Biden. Now, here is the interesting thing. One batch, we talked about the pristine thing, right? How is it that, 98% of the vote can go to one way? That means these were manufactured ballots or added later. I don't know which shape and form they did it, but when you watch this video, you will see also that a warehouse that was supposed to be guarding all these ballots, the guards went away for 20 minutes, and then when they came back, the warehouse was open. Was there destruction of evidence? Well, I don't know, but this is something, again, that needs to be looked at. So how far are we going to go and keep on accepting that, well, this is all done, that Biden won it fair and square? Well, I think Georgia election definitely needs to be manually counted, and the truth must be established. What exactly was the margin of victory? Now, the other problem that also comes is, it's not just the president that you vote for. You vote for the senators too. Was there hanky-panky in that too? Because if it is the same ballot sheet, who knows? So the whole point is that for 2.5 years, the United States Senate probably would have the wrong people representing Georgia. And these are some of the reasons why the Democrats are perhaps trying to somehow disqualify Trump from running in 2024 again, because they know they can't hide some of these things. These are all, again, questionable things. I'm not saying that this is right or this is wrong. I am just saying that this has been found to happen. And the best way to fix this thing is for the Supreme Court of the United States, SCOTUS, to come and say that the 2024 elections, there has to be uniformly identifiable form of identification. Passport. If you don't have a passport, driver's license. If you don't have a driver's license, at least a birth certificate. You have to have a birth certificate, because at least if you do it that way, one name can only vote once. This is also a problem. So a lot of stuff to ponder for America as it gets towards the 2024 presidential elections again. Do watch this video completely. I'm just about to show you the video, and do like, share, and subscribe to our channel. Don't forget to click on the bell button for notifications. Namaskar.
On a Saturday night in late May of this year, an alarm sounded in a big nondescript warehouse in Fulton County, Georgia. The warehouse was an unlikely place for a burglary. It was under round-the-clock surveillance by both private security and local law enforcement, including armed deputies with the Fulton County Sheriff's Office. Any unauthorized person entering from the outside would have to get past a locked 100-pound steel door, as well as a maze of motion detectors. Not easy. But someone tried to do it anyway, and at just the perfect moment, 20 minutes after the deputies in charge of guarding the warehouse left their posts. By the time those deputies returned to check out the alarm, someone had opened the 100-pound door to the warehouse. So what happened that night and why? We still don't know. It's also not clear why the deputies left the warehouse or who took advantage of their absence. We do know that a lot of people might have had reason to try to get inside the warehouse. Depending on who you ask, the building contains evidence that either confirms or refutes the claim that voter fraud affected the outcome of the 2020 election in the state of Georgia. Georgia is a place that Joe Biden won by fewer than 13,000 votes. That warehouse holds more than 140,000 absentee ballots. It now appears there actually was meaningful voter fraud in Fulton County, Georgia last November. That is not a conspiracy theory. It's true. From the beginning, this show has tried to be fact-based when we talk about the 2020 election results. So here's what we know tonight, factually. At least 36 batches of mail-in ballots from the November election were double counted in Fulton County. That's a total of more than 4,000 votes. Those numbers come from a group called 𝗣𝗼𝗍𝗍𝗍, which along with Bob 𝗠beckley sued to get them. The final tally from the double counts we know about amounts to more than 3,300 votes for Joe Biden and 865 votes for Donald Trump. Now, before you dismiss Bob 𝗠beckley and 𝗣𝗼𝗍𝗍𝗍 as dishonest partisan actors, keep in mind that the strongly left-of-center Atlanta Journal-Constitution appears to agree with this, at least in outline. The newspaper reviewed the available digital ballot images independently and concluded that hundreds of ballots were improperly duplicated. What does that look like exactly? Well, here's what it looks like. At a press conference yesterday, a consultant with 𝗣𝗼𝗍𝗍𝗍 called David Cross showed how we can be certain that votes in Fulton County were counted more than once. Watch.
What I'm going to show you here is two ballots side by side. One of them is marked for Jason Shaw, and it's got a little squiggle mark next to it. You can see it's got the identical mark on the second one. And the ballot image is stored up here on the top left. So this one over here is scanner 5162, that's scanner number 3, batch number 235, image number 19. And that matches 234, image 59. So you have the same ballot counted twice in the images and counted in the audit. How that's possible, I don't know.
How's that possible? I don't know. Every American should want to know, because the answer gets to the heart of the integrity of our elections, otherwise known as our democracy. We're not talking about a couple of ballots here. We're talking about a lot of ballots, at least hundreds of ballots involved, enough potentially to affect the outcome of the election. Here's another example.
Here's one of the next ones. All right, so same batch, number 234, image number 2, and 235, image number 61. Republican, 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 all the way down to the point where this little spot up in 𝗡𝘍𝗍 Willis matches this one over here. There's no question that that ballot was counted twice.
So what's the explanation for this? Well, if you ask Fulton County, these discrepancies, the ones you just saw on the screen, were isolated incidents. Just a handful of bad ballots happens all the time. The county claims that any errors were caught in previous recounts. The problem is that neither one of those claims is true. Surveillance footage obtained by 𝗣𝗼𝗍𝗍𝗍 appears to show large numbers of ballots being scanned multiple times. Pay attention in the tape we're showing you to the woman wearing yellow at the desk. According to 𝗣𝗼𝗍𝗍𝗍, she slides ballots into a scanning machine, removes the ballots, and then reinserts the same ballots. This happens multiple times. The question is, how many times were those ballots counted? Was each vote counted more than once? Fulton County won't answer that question. Now, one way to know the answer would be to check what are called audit tally sheets. Tellingly, for months after the presidential election, Fulton County failed to provide more than 100,000 of those tally sheets, including 50,000 of them for mail-in ballots. When 𝗣𝗼𝗍𝗍𝗍 finally forced Fulton County to turn over the tally sheets, the conclusion was stunning. Here's what the audit found. Quote, 7 falsified audit tally sheets containing fabricated vote totals. For example, a batch containing 59 actual ballot images for Joe Biden and 42 for Donald Trump was reported as 100 for Biden and 0 for Trump. The 7 batches of ballot images with 554 votes for Joe Biden, 140 votes for Donald Trump, and 11 votes for Joe Jorgensen had tally sheets in the audit falsified to show 850 votes for Biden, 0 votes for Trump, and 0 votes for Jorgensen.